And that's really what we're about. I think that's what my business is about. And that's going to be what my campaign is about when we launch our campaign for governor and then the presidency. And we'll get into that later. But welcome back, guys. It's Dwayne Burns here, the CEO of Eco. And I wanted to take a quick moment to talk with you guys. Obviously, you guys have been seeing a lot of controversy online. You see that the political debates and the election has everyone up in arms. People are disagreeing like they've never disagreed before. I wanted to address a few key issues that I think are important, and it kind of helps to serve as helping the world see what the overall vision is and what I'm doing inside of my company and what I want to do across America to help other people to rise to leadership and become members who can serve their communities. So one of the first things that I wanted to talk about is the idea of getting away from believing that governments are better fit than ourselves to provide the things that we need in our life. And I think that there's been a very large breakdown. You know, me specifically, I come from a background where I am a person of color in the United States. And, you know, as a Black person in the United States, you know, culturally, there have been some very legitimate issues pertaining to the systems and how they've worked against the culture that I come from. But in the same breath, we have to see that we're the only ones who are truly capable of fixing our own problems. And even though there's situations where someone may be responsible for something bad that happens to us, unfortunately, it still remains that a lot of the times we're still the only person who can fix them, regardless of the fact that we're not necessarily responsible for creating the problem. And so our vision, especially within the solar industry, I feel like there's a couple of problems that I felt like I could solve by starting this business opportunity. And, you know, the first is that when you look around and you look at communities who are affected by coal, gas production, CO2 emissions, and we know that there are consequences to our production of things that emit a lot of CO2 into the air. But mainly poorer communities are affected by this production of energy. And so solar seeks out to resolve this issue by getting as many homeowners on the planet able to use cheaper, cleaner, renewable energy that they own and control. And so the next bit of it is teaching people, particularly people like myself, you know, young entrepreneurs, people who are aspiring to do more with their life, to develop the habits that are going to allow them to lead groups of people and be the type of person who makes the sacrifices for the group so that all of us can benefit and move forward and grow in our lives. Whereas as a business owner, I think our responsibility is to create financial independence and teach people skill sets that will feed their families for life. So as it pertains to politics, I think a lot of the times people feel as though the government is a party who can actually fix your problems. The government can give you a fish, but the government isn't going to teach you how to fish. And in order for us to be a community that is self-sufficient, we must know how to fish for ourselves so that we can provide food and needs for the people that we love and cherish. I also wanted to make mention where I think that Black people are stuck in stereotypes where it's not okay to be a Black Republican, or Black people have to have the same train of thought and all think the same way and all approach the outcomes of things that are happening around them and see them in the same way. Whereas I think that diversity of thought is also important, where we have to take a second back and say, okay, but is this person now not Black because they don't think the same way that everyone else who's their same skin color thinks? And I think this kind of monolithic school of thought where we all have to think alike is one of the most detrimental things that we see within our culture. And I also see that what's super important is people embracing hard work and entrepreneurship in our culture, where it's it's tolerable to be lazy. It's cool to not focus in school. It's way more cool, according to pop culture, to want to be a rapper or a pimp or a dope dealer or some other, negative business opportunity that really doesn't seek to improve the community in any notable way. And you'll start to see this, but as we move forwards, personal responsibility and accountability, then we can take the blinders off of our eyes and actually walk in our purpose. Because when you don't see that you are the person who's creating the results that you're currently experiencing in your life, it's impossible for you to fix those problems. And what we tend to do is we externalize our issues and we think that the world is causing the problems that we're having, instead of seeing that our actions are the cause of our problems, and that all of the things we're experiencing are consequences of actions that we've already made. And the closer we move towards saying, I am responsible for my life. It is my job to be successful. It is my job to find an opportunity to make myself as intelligent as possible so that I can be successful to the capacity that I see myself in. I think that's really the hallmark of moving a group of people from a position of feeling inferior or unable or trapped in a system they don't control, is to assert as much control over the things in your life that you have control over, so that you can be in a position to join the fight, so to speak, so that you can start helping walk people out of darkness into their light. And that's what we're doing at ECO. Whereas when we onboard new sales consultants or whoever's working inside the company, I think one of the main things we try to do is to not take away the dreams and goals and ambitions that they have for themselves, and instead figure out how, as an organization, can we help bring this person's positive characteristics to light so that those characteristics can be used for the greater good of improving the lives of people around them. And that's really what we're about. I think that's what my business is about, and that's going to be what my campaign is about when we launch our campaign for governor and then the presidency, and we'll get into that later. But I think the main purpose of me creating this video was to share with people that, I do in fact care about the communities around us. I do care about what is happening around the world and with Americans across the country. And I think people have a feeling that I might lack empathy because I take such a technical or logical approach to certain issues, whereas you might not see the side of me that is trying to engage with the person at an emotional level. But the reason for that is that my emotions don't solve my problems. The way that I feel about things does not act as a solution to the problems that those things are causing us. So in my opinion, I usually try to stay away from responding emotionally to things, because in order to actually succeed, you have to be focused and be able to remove emotions from your decision making so that you can actually go out and make a difference. So we're going to be doing these videos weekly, and we're going to start diving into different topics that we can talk about. And I'm really going to try to help people see at least a different perspective and see that there are multiple schools of thought. And just because people don't think the same way, it doesn't mean that they don't care. So I think that's probably going to be the main point that we're going to try to drive home these next couple weeks. I appreciate anyone who did take the time to watch this short video. If you're seeing this on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button down below. If you're on Instagram, you're seeing this, make sure you hit the follow button, hit the share button for me. If you think that this video was valuable for you, or if you got anything out of it at all, please do share with others who are engaged in critical thinking, so that we can come together to fix America, because we have a country to save. I'll see you guys on the next one.